Hey, what's up everyone, Luke here with a brand new video. Thank you for joining in. Today I have a tiny home for you, which I built on this 8x6 platform here. So this is a bit of a challenge video because I wanted to build the whole thing, including the garden area, on this platform here. The house itself is only 20 tiles, so it's even smaller and would qualify as a micro home. So if you delete the platform, you get the perks for a micro home as well. So for this house I wanted to combine red and blue. As you can see here, we have this very nice wooden siding here with the red windows, which are from Cottage Living. So this house has been sitting in my gallery for a while now because I started building this in January this year, and I finished the exterior but not the interior. But I have to say I really like how this house looks, so I wanted to finish it and upload it to the gallery so you guys can use it in your game if you want to. So when I started building this, I initially just needed some footage so you guys wouldn't have to stare at a blank screen while I talk about the future of this channel and my plans for this year. The video also features all the builds I did last year in a briefer format, so if you're new to the channel and want to check out some of my builds, or if you're a long-time subscriber and want to revisit some of my older builds, the video link is in the description below, and I'm also going to put it somewhere on the screen here. But now back to the build. So this house is very small. As I said before, we only have 20 tiles in total. So this house is intended for one sim because the bedroom is upstairs, which we'll see a bit later in the video. It's only a 3x2 room, so it's really small, and there simply isn't enough space for a double bed. So as I said before, this house is only for one sim. So playtesting this house was a real nightmare because something was blocking certain objects in the house. For example, the toilet, the shower, and also the dining area chairs couldn't be used, and I couldn't figure out what it was. After like an hour, it turns out that several objects caused the problems. For example, the columns here you see on the right hand side, which are not normal columns, they're debug objects and they're actually fence posts. So I sized them up and placed them here, and I forgot that they tend to interfere with other objects. And the second object that caused problems was the tree, which I've never seen before, so it took me a while to figure out what it was. But after some tweaking, the house is now fully functional, or at least it should be fully functional. So if you encounter any problems after downloading this from the gallery, please let me know in the comments below. If you watch some of my other videos, you're probably aware that I usually make sure that my builds are functional. So if I claim that they are functional, I playtest them like several times just to be sure that this will work in your game as well, because I think it's more fun and also more challenging as well to build things that are also functional. Talking about being functional, the bike in front of the house here is also usable, but you have to put it in your sim's inventory first because they are not able to get on the bike because there's so many plants here and they're kind of blocking the way, so your sim has to put it in their inventory first, and this way it works just fine. I also playtested the outdoor garden area. You can see here all the planter boxes are usable, and I also planted something in each of them. So we have like garlic, parsley and basil, but you can of course always uproot them if you want to plant something different. So with super tiny builds like this one here, I think it's even more important to add small details, but also carefully consider what you actually want to add to the build, because the space is very limited, as you can see here. And this only allows for a certain amount of objects to be used, so this house has no living room because there was simply no space for a couch or for a television downstairs. There's one upstairs next to the bed, so we have some entertainment here as well. So if you don't have a clear picture what you're trying to build or what your goals are, it gets really difficult furnishing smaller houses like this one. And I'm gonna be honest here, this house was really difficult to furnish for me, so I had to cut out a lot here because I was simply trying to fit everything in here. I cut out the whole living room portion because the house has no living room. It's a small kitchen and a dining area, so that's basically it. On the first floor and on the second floor we have our bedroom. So at this point the exterior was almost finished, so we're gonna move on to the interior very soon, and I'm gonna tell you a bit more about that. So one thing to be aware if you want to play with this house, it's sometimes a bit hard to see inside because there's so many plants and other things on the walls, so it's sometimes hard to see, as you can see here. So for obvious reasons I didn't want to use a staircase this time because it would take up like a third of the house, so I think a ladder is appropriate here. I also wanted to continue the color scheme from outside on the inside here, so I picked out a lighter wood tone for the flooring here, and this very nice looking wooden siding here from Island Living, which I tend to overuse a bit, but I really like the texture on it and the variety of colors, so this is actually one of my favorite wall patterns here. So like I said before, I used the bed from Werewolves, which is also really cool. I really like the homemade look here, and the patches This rug here is also from Werewolves, and I also like to use it for more rustic builds. And I have to say, in general, Werewolves is one of the more useful, if not the most useful pack for building rustic looking builds that are not necessarily cottages, because I would say cottage living might be a bit more useful for this purpose. As I said before, the windows here are from cottage living, but I also used a lot of other objects for this build. Some plants, the columns here. I think the chimney is from cottage living as well. So while I was building this, I got a bit annoyed by all the plants here, which is the reason why I used the top-down view so much, which you can access by pressing the T key on your keyboard. So building this was a bit less fun for me because from certain angles you couldn't see very well, as you can see here, for example. And I think the point of a build video is that you guys can actually see what I'm doing. And at first I wanted to remove most of the plants here so it would be easier for gameplay, but I really like how the plants look from the outside. And you guys can still remove them yourself if they're too annoying if you want to play with this house. So the desk you see here is also from Werewolves, as well as the chair, which is one of my favorite chairs in the game. The typewriter on the other hand here is from Cottage Living. It's kind of weird because it's a typewriter style computer, but I think it fits the aesthetic of the build, so I wanted to use it here. So because the bedroom was so small, it didn't take very long to finish it, and I quickly moved on to the first floor. So this super small room here is the bathroom, which is also fully functional. We have a toilet and a shower in here, which, as I said before, didn't work at first because of the tree, but I found a way around and now everything is functional. I also wanted to use a full-size fridge at first, but there's so many windows here, so it was kind of problematic, and I think it doesn't make sense to have a fridge this big in a house this small, so I decided to go with the login reward fridge, which we'll see in a second, and I think it fits much better in here. To continue the color scheme, we have outside, I wanted to use red counters, as you can see here, and one thing that bothers me so much is that we only have limited combinations of colors. For example, if I want the red here, there are only two options here for the countertop, which is this lighter wood tone here and white. So basically nothing else, which feels very restricting, so I'm not sure why there are no separate options here for countertops, which would be great, because sometimes I really like a color but I can't use it because the countertop doesn't fit the rest of the house, which is kind of annoying and also a bit limiting in my opinion. So at this point I decided to move the whole kitchen area to the front of the house here because there was basically no space for anything else here, mainly because of the door, which I tried to move, but it didn't look as good from the outside, so I had to find a different way. So I decided to go for a smaller fridge, as I said before, and I have to say I really like how it turned out, because this way we have additional shelf space, which I used to add some clutter here, mainly plants and some books. I would say the inside isn't too cluttered, at least by my standards, but if you think otherwise, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you, and please don't forget to leave a like if you enjoy my content. It's the easiest way to support the channel, and it also tells me if you guys actually like what I'm doing here. But now back to the video. As you can see, I covered the fridge with a wall-mounted shelf here, and I encountered the same problem as before. We don't have the same type of wood here, so I simply decided to go with the black one. So as decorations, I decided to use some of my go-to plants, which are these two here, in combination with this stack of books, if you can call a book on top of another book a stack, but you get what I mean. So one thing I noticed is that I tend to overuse certain plants, and the reason for that is that I don't like half the plants in the game, and I wish we could get another plant focused pack, because I feel like there are not enough good plants in the game. I know we have the greenhouse haven and we have the blooming rooms kit, but I basically never use like half of the objects in these packs because I don't like how they look, and I feel like some of them have a very specific aesthetic I can't use in builds like this one here. I'm not sure if you guys agree. Do we need another plant focused pack? What else is missing before we get another plant focused pack? Let me know in the comments below what you think, what type of pack is still missing in the game. I know a lot of people want cars. I'm open for anything that gives us more ways to customize our builds, so cars would be a nice addition, and I think it would be great for a gameplay pack, or maybe even a kit. Or what about a base game update, which will probably never happen, but hey, we can still hope. Anyway, I would really dig another plant focused, garden focused pack. How about allotment gardens, urban gardening, or even large scale farming, which should have been included with cottage living, but they put a lot of other things in this pack, so I will be a bit more lenient here. But still, there's so many missed opportunities, and a lot of the packs they recently put out feel a lot more niche than the things I'm proposing here. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Maybe it's time for me to use custom content, because I downloaded a very nice custom content set with plants, which I like very much, but I never used them in the video because usually I like to use things that are in the game and available for everyone. I mean, you still have to pay for packs, but you get what I mean. But don't worry guys, one of my next uploads is gonna be a base game house, which I like to do from time to time. So at this point the house was basically finished. I was just adding some more details here and there, as you can see here, and finishing the kitchen, which didn't have any cabinets. I think this was also the first time I used this exhaust note here. I might have used it for my overgrown forest hut, but to be honest I can't remember, it's been a while. And I think I also never used this sink here before. To be honest, I don't even know which pack it comes with. Maybe Auto Retreat, but don't quote me on that. I wanted to use my go-to sink here from Laundry Day, but I think it's nice to try to use different objects from time to time. I also try to include things that I never used before, like I did here. But I think the house turned out pretty good and I'm pretty satisfied with how it looks. But as usual, I also appreciate your feedback, so let me know if you dislike anything, if something's missing, something's too much, or anything else you would like to address. You can also leave suggestions for future builds. However, I can't promise anything, but I will of course consider them. So at this point I was just adding some more details here and there, like these cracks and stains here. And I also wanted to add some curtains and more lights. I also changed the wallpaper in the kitchen here. I think the brick looks alright, but I found a better one, which we'll see in a second. But now we're almost at the end of the video, and before I show you the finished build, I wanted to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. That's it for today. See you guys next time.